He thought a state of emergency was just a suggestion and that his deadline was more important than my life. But he forgot that while he controls the schedule, the Department of Labor controls the fines, and my dashcam just became the most expensive movie he ever watched. The wind outside sounded less like weather and more like a freight train derailing directly against the side of my apartment building. It was 5:30 a.m. on a Tuesday in Chicago, and the world outside my third-floor window had ceased to exist. It was just a swirling, violent wall of white. The news had been blaring warnings for 24 hours. Winter storm Cyclops. The governor had declared a state of emergency at midnight, explicitly stating that all non-essential travel was banned. If you weren't a cop, a fireman, or a doctor, you were supposed to stay home. The weatherman, a guy who usually gets excited about a light drizzle, looked genuinely terrified on the screen, warning that wind chills were approaching 40 below zero and visibility was less than 10 feet. I work in data entry for a mid-sized logistics firm called Apex Solutions. My job is essentially moving numbers from one spreadsheet to another. I am not essential. I am not saving lives. I can do my job from my living room in my pajamas, sipping coffee and petting my cat. In fact, I had done exactly that during the pandemic for 2 years without missing a single deadline. But corporate culture is a pendulum, and ours had swung back to the archaic butts-in-seats philosophy. My phone buzzed on the nightstand, illuminating the dark room with a harsh blue light. It was a text from Gavin. Gavin was the kind of manager who believed that remote work was synonymous with vacation. He was a micromanager who needed to see bodies in chairs to feel like he was earning his bonus. He was also the type of guy who bragged about never taking a sick day, even when he came in hacking and coughing, infecting the entire department. Gavin, I don't care about the news reports. They always exaggerate to get ratings. The roads look fine from my window. If you aren't at your desk by 8 a.m., don't bother coming in tomorrow. We have the Q1 reports to file. I stared at the screen, rubbing the sleep from my eyes, trying to process the sheer audacity of the message. I walked to the window and looked out. I couldn't even see the streetlights. My Honda Civic, parked on the street below, was buried under a drift that looked like a breaching whale. There were no plow trucks. There were no tire tracks. It was a frozen wasteland. Me, Gavin, it's a state of emergency. The governor banned travel. It's literally illegal to be on the roads right now. I can log in remotely and have the Q1 prep done by noon. I waited. The 3 dots appeared, then vanished, then appeared again. He was angry typing. Gavin, no remote access. Security protocol changed last week, remember. Be here by 8 a.m. or you're fired for job abandonment. I'm already here. If I can make it, you can make it. Stop making excuses and start driving. I knew for a fact Gavin drove a lifted Ford Raptor with tires the size of my dining table and lived 3 blocks from the office in a luxury condo complex with a heated garage. I lived 5 miles away, across town, and drove a 10-year-old front-wheel drive sedan. Rage is a warm feeling, even in a blizzard. If he wanted me there, I would go, but I wasn't going to go quietly. I was going to follow orders to the letter, and I was going to document every second of it. I had been looking for a reason to leave Apex for months, but I couldn't afford to quit without a backup. However, getting fired for cause would ruin my unemployment claim, but being coerced into a dangerous situation, that was a different legal beast entirely. I got dressed, putting on 3 layers of thermal gear. I grabbed my keys. I went out to the car. The wind hit me like a physical blow, stealing the breath from my lungs. It took me 20 minutes just to clear the windshield and dig out the driver's side door. My fingers were numb even inside my gloves. I climbed inside, the leather seats freezing hard against my back. I started the engine, praying the battery hadn't died in the sub-zero temps. It groaned, sputtered, and finally caught. I looked up at my dashcam. It was a high-end 4K unit with GPS tracking, speed logging, and interior audio recording. I had bought it after a near miss a few months ago. I reached up and formatted the SD card to ensure I had plenty of space. I wanted this in high definition. I am leaving for work at 6:45 a.m. per the direct instruction of my manager, Gavin, under threat of immediate termination. I announced clearly to the camera, staring directly into the lens. I have informed him of the state of emergency, and he has ordered me to drive regardless. I put the car in reverse. The tires spun, whining against the ice before finally catching a patch of gravel. I crawled out of the complex, the car sliding sideways before straightening out. The main road was a dystopian nightmare. It was a white void. The streetlights were mere halos in the blowing snow. I was the only idiot on the road. I was doing 10 miles per hour, white-knuckling the steering wheel, my heart hammering a frantic rhythm against my ribs. Every gust of wind threatened to push my light car into the oncoming lane. I made it about a mile. I was approaching a slight curve near the creek that runs along the boulevard. It's a notorious spot for black ice because the wind whips off the water and freezes the asphalt instantly. I tapped the brakes gently to slow down from my already crawling speed. The car didn't slow down. The anti-lock brakes stuttered, thud thud thud, vibrating through my foot, but the tires were floating on a sheet of invisible ice hidden under the powder. The steering wheel went light in my hands, completely disconnected from the road. No, 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 I yelled, pumping the brakes, trying to steer into the skid. Physics didn't care about my efforts. The car began to rotate in slow motion. The world spun. The guardrail, buried in snow, rushed toward me. Crunch! The sound was sickening, plastic shattering, metal crumpling. The front end of my Civic slammed into the metal barrier. The impact was violent, jarring my teeth and snapping my head back. The airbags deployed with a smell of gunpowder and dust, punching me in the face and filling the cabin with a white haze. But the car didn't stop. The momentum carried it over the lowered guardrail, the nose tilted down. Thump! We slid nose first into the drainage ditch on the other side. The car groaned and settled at a 45-degree angle. Snow from the embankment collapsed onto the hood, covering the windshield in darkness. Silence. For a moment there was only the sound of my own ragged breathing and the hissing of the radiator. My ears were ringing. I checked my limbs. My chest hurt from the seatbelt. My face stung from the airbag, and my neck was stiff, but nothing seemed broken. I reached up and turned off the engine. The dashcam miraculously was still recording, the little red light blinking in the gloom of the buried cabin. It had captured everything. The slide, the impact, the terrifying slide into the ditch. I unbuckled my seatbelt, falling slightly against the door. I pushed it open against the snow, using my shoulder to heave it wide enough to squeeze out. I climbed out into the ditch, sinking to my knees in freezing sludge. My car was destroyed. The front bumper was hanging off like a severed limb. The hood was buckled. One headlight was smashed, the other pointing uselessly at the sky. I pulled out my phone, 7:15 a.m. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely unlock the screen. I called Gavin. He picked up on the second ring. No hello, no professional greeting, just an annoyed grunt. You close, the parking lot needs shoveling and the plow guy bylaid. I'm in a ditch, Gavin, I said, my voice trembling with a mixture of adrenaline, shock, and pure, unadulterated fury. I crashed. The car is totaled. Airbags deployed. There was a pause, a long, heavy silence. In that silence I expected humanity. I expected a shred of decency. I expected, "Oh my God, are you okay?" Or "Stay there, I'm calling 911. Well, Gavin sighed, the sound of a man inconvenienced by a minor annoyance like a paper cut. Can you still get an Uber? The Q1 reports really need to be done by noon, and I can't do them alone. I looked at the phone in disbelief. The wind howled around me, freezing the blood on my lip, but I felt hot. I felt like I was burning up. No, Gavin, I said, my voice dropping to a register I didn't recognize, deadly calm and final. I can't get an Uber. I'm waiting for the police. And Gavin, I'm recording this call." I didn't wait for his response. I hung up. I dialed 911. The dispatcher sounded exhausted. "911, what is your emergency?" "I've been in a single vehicle accident, car in a ditch. Airbags deployed. I'm okay, but the car is dead." "Are you safe? Can you stay warm?" "I have winter gear. I'm okay." "We have a backlog of 50 accidents right now," she said. "It might be a while. Please stay in the vehicle if safe." It took 40 minutes for a cruiser to appear. The officer, a large man who looked like he had been awake for 3 days, waded through the snow to where I was sitting in the passenger seat of my tilted car. "You okay, son?" he asked, shining a flashlight in my face. "Banged up," I said. "Neck hurts." "Why the hell are you on the road?" he yelled over the wind, his frustration boiling over. "It's a state of emergency. It's a Class B misdemeanor just to be out here. I should be writing you a ticket right now." "I didn't want to be," I shouted back, handing him my phone with the text thread open. "My boss told me to come in or I'd be fired. He said he didn't care about the order." The officer took the phone. He read the texts. He looked at the wreckage of my car. He looked back at the phone. His expression changed from anger to pity and then to a simmering anger directed elsewhere. "He threatened your job." "Yes, sir, job abandonment." "Get in the cruiser," he ordered. "It's warm. I'm writing a report. And I'm going to make sure the narrative section is very, very specific. Coerced travel under duress of termination. Make sure you put that exact phrase in your statement to your insurance." I sat in the back of the police car, the heat blasting against my frozen face. My neck was starting to throb with a dull, rhythmic ache. Whiplash. While the officer radioed in the accident, I pulled out my phone. I opened my work email app. My hands were steady now. The shock had worn off, replaced by a cold, calculating resolve. To HR Director Amanda Smith, Legal Department General Counsel. CC Gavin. Subject: Workplace injury/total loss of vehicle/liability notice. Amanda. Please find attached the text messages from my manager, Gavin, mandating my travel during a declared state of emergency under threat of immediate termination. He explicitly stated, "I don't care about the news," and ordered me to violate the governor's travel ban. I have suffered physical injuries and total property loss due to compliance with this direct order. I am currently in the back of a police cruiser waiting for a tow truck that may not come for hours. The responding officer has noted that I was traveling solely due to employer coercion. The dashcam footage of the accident, which documents the road conditions, the crash, and my verbal statement regarding the forced travel, is available upon request. My lawyer will be in touch regarding workers' compensation claims and the violation of the state of emergency order. I am going to the emergency room now. I hit send. I watched the sent icon spin. It felt like pulling the trigger on a cannon. I went to the ER. It was a war zone of slip-and-fall victims and car crash survivors. I waited 3 hours to be seen. The diagnosis: severe whiplash, a mild concussion, and bruising from the seatbelt. The doctor ordered me to stay off work for at least a week. By the time I got home in a taxi at 2 p.m., my phone had melted down. There were 12 missed calls from Gavin, 4 from HR, 2 from a number I didn't recognize, probably legal. I ignored them all. I took a painkiller, fed my cat, and plugged my Dashcam SD card into my laptop. I watched the footage. It was terrifyingly clear. The whiteout, the slide, the crunch, and most importantly, my voice at the beginning and the phone call at the end where Gavin asked about the Uber. I uploaded the video to a private cloud folder. Then I sent the link to HR. The HR director, Amanda, called me again at 3 p.m. I answered this time. "Chris," she sounded breathless like she had been running. "Oh my God, are you okay? We got your email." I'm concussed, Amanda, I said, and I don't have a car anymore. We had no idea, she stammered. We had no idea Gavin sent that text. The corporate directive was to stay home if unsafe. He went rogue. He told me security protocols changed and remote access was blocked, I said. That's a lie, Amanda whispered. Remote access is fully active. He lied to you. I see, I said. Well, my lawyer will be interested in that detail. Chris, please, she said, her voice dropping to a desperate plea. Let us handle the medical bills. Let us handle the car. We are opening an immediate investigation. You are on paid administrative leave starting now. Do not worry about work. I'm not worried about work, Amanda, I said. I'm worried about the fact that I almost died for a spreadsheet. I hung up. The next morning, the investigation concluded. I wasn't there, but I heard about it from a friend in it. Gavin was called into a meeting with HR and legal at 9 a.m. They played my dashcam footage on the big screen in the conference room. They played the audio of him asking if I could Uber from the ditch. Apparently, Gavin tried to argue that he was just motivating the team and that I didn't have to listen. The general counsel reportedly laughed in his face. In our state, if an employer forces an employee to violate a state of emergency order, they lose all liability protection. The company was on the hook for everything: my car, my medical bills, my potential future back problems. Plus, the Department of Labor loves to fine companies that endanger workers during disasters. Gavin was escorted out of the building by security at 10 a.m. He didn't even get to pack his box. They mailed it to him. The settlement offer came 3 days later. They knew if I took this to court, or worse, to the local news, it would be a PR nightmare. Local company forces employee to crash in blizzard is a headline that destroys stock prices. They paid for the car, not just the value of my old Civic, but enough for a brand new SUV with 4-wheel drive. They covered all medical bills. They paid me my full salary for the time off. And they added a pain and suffering settlement that was essentially 2 years of my salary, tax-free, in exchange for signing an NDA about the specific settlement amount, but not the incident itself. I bought the new car. I took a month off to heal my neck. I checked LinkedIn yesterday. Gavin is open to work. He posted a long rant about loyalty and cancel culture. I commented on it. Hope the job search goes well. Maybe try driving for Uber. I hear they're hearing. He blocked me. I'm still at Apex, actually. My new boss is great. He works from Florida. And whenever it snows even an inch, the entire department gets a mass text from HR. Stay home. Be safe. They call it the Chris rule. So viewers, was I wrong for risking the drive just to make sure I had the evidence to take him down? If you have made it this far and want to see more videos like this, then kindly subscribe and turn on notifications so you may never miss another story like this.